I built an extremely simple N8N automation that saves me 2 to 5 hours every single day. Now, this is not like those scenarios you see all over YouTube that have 1,000,001 nodes that don't actually have much practical functionality. This is so simple and works so well, it will blow your mind. So let's get into the build. Let me show you how it works. So here is the automation, extremely simple, just like I said. So now I'm going to click test workflow and I'll explain what's happening along the way. So we're going to first get the update from Google Sheets, transcribe the video, then edit the fields, determine which route we want to go down. Now we have ChatGPT in our education node doing some work to dissect the content and create actionable insights for us to learn from. And then now it's updated our new row within Google Sheets. So if I head on over to this Google Sheet I've created called Content Engine N8N, and if we go to the ideas sheet right here, we can see here is the education piece. Let me just make sure this is wrapping, and then we can see. So we have key topics and themes, understanding intelligence and desire. Intelligence is not just IQ, but about fulfilling desires effectively. The only true test of intelligence is if you get what you want out of life. We're used to these fairly long cycles, but we spend very short time deciding on them. And this is the video that it has pulled the quotes from, this Naval interview with Chris Williamson. So that's why we're getting a lot of this kind of like philosophical, like modern day stoic kind of talk here. And it's amazing. This works super good. And you can then pipe this into any database you want, Notion, even your notes, even straight into ChatGPT so you can continue to iterate on it. So now let me break down exactly how this scenario works and let's build it together. All right, perfect guys. So now you're gonna wanna spin up a brand new workflow within N8N. On the first step here, we're just gonna want a Google Sheets. Now, again, this could be replaced with any database, like an SQL database, Notion database, like literally anything. We're gonna want this on row added or updated right here. Now, the benefit of using the on row added or updated is something I haven't mentioned. So if you go back into a Google Sheet here, since the keyword we had in our IDs sheet is education, that's why we get the output in the education column over here. But if this changed to, what is it again? Rewrite. If this changed to rewrite, like if I just change this right now to rewrite, and then I ran this again, then we would get a brand new output right here in the rewrite. So you can basically do both and just choose whichever one you want. Or you could do both, but this one's more useful because it's a little more targeted. Do I want to rewrite or do I want education? So that's kind of the thought process behind that. So just connect your Google Sheets here. It's very simple. The documentation is very good. You can learn how to find your credentials, Google Sheets trigger node. You can do all that stuff right in there in this docs button. Then I just set it to run custom, or sorry, every X. So value 2 hours. Or actually, I wanted to do 3 hours for this. So that's good. Then from the list of documents is going to be our content engine N8N. Basically, you just want to copy my spreadsheet exactly here. Create a spreadsheet, YouTube vid ID, a content type. Doesn't matter what these are called. The variables are completely interchangeable. That's why they're variables. You can make them whatever you want. And then make another sheet just called ideas. And then have rewrite and then education in here. Again, you can change these to whatever you want. You can experiment, but the overall layout needs to remain pretty similar. So once you have your sheet saved in your Google Drive, in your Sheets, then you'll be able to select it from this drop down right here. Then the sheet we're going to want to do for the actual trigger is going to be IDs, because that is the sheet that we're going to be putting the YouTube video ID in. Then the triggers row added or updated, which, as I said, is useful because we can change between educational and rewrite. And then that's it for that. So if we fetch this right here and test this step, we can see that we get the video ID, content type, and then this was from a previous version that I was testing. So you don't need to worry about index message, log probs, or finish reason. Just you get the video ID and the content type. So it's returning correctly, which is great. Now, this next part of the video is where we're going to have a little bit of variability in what you may need to do for your specific scenario that you're in. So let me explain. So in the scenario that I showed you at the beginning, we had an N8N community node called N8N YouTube transcripts that just basically needs a video ID, which is what this is right here of a YouTube video, and it pulls the transcripts. using YouTube's API, but it does it all behind the scenes for you. So there's no configuration of API calls or anything like that. It's extremely simple, which is why I'm using it. However, the only way to get access to this node is if you're self-hosting your version of N8N, which I know a lot of people are, which is why this video will still apply to a lot of people. But if you aren't, you will have to go for something like Apify right here. So Apify is quite nice. You can go to like YouTube structured transcript extractor. Now, the thing about all these transcript extractors is that they are not free, which is pretty annoying. Apify does charge a premium for these features. However, you can just go into here. You can go to the API. You can do API endpoints, and you have this run actor synchronously, and you can just kind of make an API call. So if you aren't self-hosting, you're going to have to create a little workaround with Apify. However, if you are self-hosting, let me show you how you can get this node. So let's save this real quick. You're going to want to click on settings right here and then go down to community nodes right here. Now I have it already installed, N8N nodes YouTube transcript cache, but just click install. Then you can literally just type this in if you want, or you can click browse and you'll be able to find it very easily. But this is the name of it. Just make sure it has the dashes and everything. N8N nodes YouTube. So just type it in, click I understand, and then click install, and you'll have it on your machine. And then if we go back to our workflow, then we'll be able to access this new node. So if I type in YouTube transcript right here, and then all it takes is a video ID. It's so simple to set up. So if we go back to this Naval video, the YouTube ID of any video is going to be between this equals sign and this and sign. So this is the video ID right here, those characters. And that's exactly what we have in here. So that's it, right? Now, just make sure you just copy and paste all of these into here. It's extremely simple. And you can do this asynchronously, meaning like you just copy and paste these in as you find cool videos, and then it will extract them and transcribe them. It's beautiful. So once you have your video ID, and then you decide what content type you want, just put whatever you want right there for now so you can test this out. We can go back to N8N, and we can click execute previous nodes right here. This is going to execute our Google Sheets node, so we have access to the variables that we need. And then all we need to do is just drag YouTube video ID right into here. It'll automatically switch to expression, and we can see it's pulling that, and we get the correct output right there. So that's beautiful. Now we can click test step to make sure we're actually getting the transcript right here, and we indeed are. If you'll notice, it is this massive JSON object right here, and there's text, duration, offset, and language, and there's different pieces of it. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 500 or something like that. So we need some way to actually join these text variables together. So we have one long string. What we need to do here is we need to add a set node or an edit fields. And then we're going to keep it on manual mapping. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag in a field to set right here. So we're just going to name it full transcript. That's fine with me. You can keep it a string. And then the value is going to be this JSON expression. So we're going to go JSON.transcript.map and then segment, and then segment.text right here, .join. And in here, we're just going to have that, just like that. And now this expression right here is going to take our transcript and then basically map it all together and then join the text together. We can see .text right here. So it's going to grab the text and then join it all together. So using this expression, we can see that if we click on it, the result, this is a really nice thing about N8N. If you click on whatever thing you're working on, like whatever field, you actually get the result. So then you can see it's this whole transcript right here. And you have these weird kind of HTML characters throughout, but it's not something to worry about because GPT will be able to just skip right over them and understand exactly what we're saying. So beautiful. We have our transcript. That is very nice. Let's click test step just to make sure. Nice. So we have our full transcript. All right, sick. Make sure you hit save on that. Now we need to build some logic around figuring out if we have education or rewrite so we can route the scenario the workflow. So then we can have different AIs handling each specific task. So if we go to like switch, for example, very nice. It's basically like an if and statement, but you can make it a little more complex. So the value one we're going to use, if we just minimize these right here, is going to be the content type. So if we drag this in, so content type is equal to rewrite for this, and we can add another routing rule, and then we can just literally have content type the exact same is equal to education. Rewrite or education. Yeah. Make sure they match exactly. You just want to double check that. Make sure they match exactly. Very important to just double check that. So now that we have this, that's literally all we need to do. Super easy. Hit save on that. And then now you can see we have these two paths right here. The top path is going to be for this top routing rule. So for rewrite, and then the bottom is going to be for education. So if we click this, click on AI, click open AI, just click message a model right here, create a connection. The resource is going to be text, message a model. And then from the list of models, we're going to use GPT-4o. Now for the prompt, this is the user role right here. We're going to want to switch this to a system prompt to actually instruct the model how to behave kind of indefinitely from here on out, giving the model instructions. And let me show you how I've created this system prompt extremely easily. So I literally went over to this GPT, never used it before. It's called AI Agent Prompt Generator. I think I'm actually going to keep it in the sidebar because I was pleasantly surprised with what it gave me. So I just gave it a really simple prompt here. I have a switch and a reroute, and the first agent needs to be a rewriting agent. So, and rewrites the content in your tone of voice. So I literally just grabbed this, professional YouTube content strategist and writer. You'll receive an input of YouTube transcript, raw, text, messy, jobs to rewrite, identify the core topic, suggest 5 fresh YouTube video ideas, tone of voice, description. So this is adjustable by the user. So you want to give it as much detail on your tone of voice, how you want the content to be written, your personality, etc. And then you have all these output formats that you can customize. If you want like bullet points, text, if you want a full script, if you want little points to riff off of, whatever it may be that's important to you in your content creation process, you can just get this done. Super easy. So then I'm just going to copy and paste this in. Copy this, and then we can delete, let's just expand this a little bit. We can delete the part that says prompt for AI agent workflow, and then we'll add back the markdown right here. And then we can say tone of voice adjustable by user. Let's do Spartan and clear. Informative with a brush of casual, direct, actionable, and clear, and humorous 10%. Okay, cool. Nice. Perfect. So, and then, you ideally want to make this more, just larger with more context and bigger than what I've done with these 4 measly bullet points, but that will do for now. And then of course, customize all this to your liking. So that is the system prompt. And then we're going to click add message, make sure it's on user. And then we need to execute the previous nodes just to get the variables to play with here, just like we did last time. And then the prompt is going to be our brand new transcript, our full transcript right here. Nice. Cool. So that's going to be our input. And then just save that. And then we'll rename this just for clarity, and we'll just call it rewrite node. Now we are literally just going to copy this and bring it down here, and then rename this one to education node. And then all we need to do is change our system prompt a little bit. And I've basically done the exact same thing with this GPT, make it incredible. Where is it? This one, ultimate educational content breakdown. I use same GPT, same everything. Now for the prompt, just pop this in here. Cool. So grab that, just literally paste it in here. Educational content breakdown. Delete this. We don't need that top part. Add the markdown again. And if you're wondering why I add markdown for the inputs, it's because GPT is actually trained to recognize markdown a little bit easier. And especially if you have very separate sections like YouTube content, titles, topics, etc., it can detect those a little bit easier with markdown. That's the only reason I do that. And then the fields is going to be the exact same, this full transcript. We don't need to change that at all because that will remain the same for both scenarios. All right, and then the last step here, the last node we need is just the sheets add or the sheets node to finish it off. And what we're going to do here is going to append row in sheet, create that, or not create, just use that exact same connection previously, append row. From the list of documents, we're going to use the exact same document, whatever you named it. Mine's called Content Engine N8N. And then we're going to use our second sheet called Ideas, where we want the final ideas to be. So for rewrite, we're actually going to have to execute the previous nodes as well. You could just kind of reverse engineer it with JSON and input it, but I just think it's easier just to execute the nodes, get it done with. So it's literally just called json.message.content. So that is super easy. And you can see if you want to make sure you're right and just double check, verify, rewritten script, and it's all right here. Very, very simple. So now we have that. Let's hit save. And then let's literally just do the same thing we did with the OpenAI node. Duplicate this, bring it down here, connect it up. And then instead of rewrite, it is going to be on education. And make sure to change it to expression. Now it's looking perfect. So now hit save. And there we go, guys. Now you have a full system that can either rewrite YouTube videos in your tone of voice to repurpose later as content for you, or you have your education node that can then pull key ideas, concepts, and theories from the YouTube video that you're interested in, and you can do whatever you desire with that information. I have been using this myself for the past week and a half or so, and I've noticed just the most massive improvement because it's almost turned into like a little bedtime routine. As I'm winding down in the evening, I literally just go on my Google Sheet, I skim through my videos, I say, okay, cool, here are a couple points from this, here are a couple points from this. And then as I said in the beginning of the video, what I do is I just throw them all into ChatGPT in a specific folder I have just called learning, upgrading ideas. And then I basically just install little software updates in my brain throughout the day, all asynchronously through this program right here. All new ideas without having to watch an hour-long podcast. It's very cool. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, I would so appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you feel like. But at the end of the day, I'm just so happy you're here, and I hope this was valuable to you. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.